I want to thank the board for inviting me to come speak. I love Wyoming. I love coming out here. I love being in an environment where there's snow, just as long as it doesn't keep me from going home on Friday at the airport. But just a little introduction about Southern Company. We're a regulated utility in the southeast. We also have a competitive power arm where we produce power all throughout the United States. We actually own and operate the largest solar facility in the United States, the largest biomass facility, and we have natural gas combined cycle units throughout the United States. But our core operating area is in the southeast. Large service area, lots of retail customers, lots of employees, one of the larger producers of electricity in the United States. So our statistics on generation, 46 gigawatts of power that we have the capacity. These are a little old numbers, but these numbers were much different about 10 years ago. Even 5 years ago, they were much different. We were more heavily relying on coal for our generation mix. It's only been in the last 3 or 4 years when the prices of gas have gone down that we've started using more natural gas. Building new nuclear, building new clean coal, building new gas. So we really believe in a balanced fuel portfolio and keeping every fuel source in the mix. We have a very robust research and development program. Southern Company is steeped in our R&D programs. We developed technologies, emissions controls for coal-fired power plants in the past related to flue gas desulfurization, selective catalytic reduction, electrostatic precipitators, baghouses, things like that. We have a philosophy of learning by doing, getting involved in developing the technology so we know how to deploy it commercially as well as operate it at our plants, because we're very vertically integrated. We like to manage all of our own operations. We do pilot scale testing, transition that to demonstration scale testing with the hopes of it going to widespread commercial deployment. But we never lose track of dealing with the universities and the national labs with looking at laboratory testing and applied science, because there's always room to improve everything that we're doing and researching associated with basic and fundamental sciences. So the first project I want to talk about real quick is the Plant-Berry CCS demonstration. So the importance of this project is all of our coal-fired power plants right now are post-combustion pulverized coal power plants. Okay, a lot of them burn Wyoming Powder River Basin coal. And we have to protect those assets, so we need to know how to deploy carbon capture technologies that would comply with new regulations coming out on those plants. So this is a post-combustion capture demonstration of flue gas, separating carbon dioxide from the flue gas, compressing it, sending it down a pipeline, and injecting it into a saline reservoir. So this is not enhanced oil recovery. The downstream storage operations are being handled in Denbury's citronella oil field in South Alabama, and they've been a great partner to work with. We've worked with them, and the key thing is there you've got a utility and an oil company that are integrated into communicating to transport this CO2 down the line. If we were just putting it into a pipe, like we're proposing to do with our Kemper County project, which I'm going to talk about in a minute, it would be something different. But this is direct integration with the oil company injecting the CO2. In this instance, it's into a saline reservoir for storage, but one day this could be a sole source, anthropogenic source with an oil field. So there's a source-sink relationship there with one pipeline serving it. So here's the capture plant. We've got, the flue gas comes in here, it's 25 megawatts, so this is relatively small. It's not as big as the Sask Boundary Dam project, but we've got flue gas coming in here. It's already been scrubbed, SCRs, FGD, particulates taken out. So at this point, basically what you have is carbon dioxide and nitrogen coming in. You've got the absorber tower here where the solvents are. You've got solvent management. This is the regenerator, which regenerates the solvents because you want to continually use those. You want to be able to use them. And then you've got the compressor island here. So, and then you've got a small pipeline that comes out the back that goes over to the oil field. So we're doing 90% carbon capture. Very good. This is Mitsubishi Heavy Industries KS1 solvents. These are the technology vendor. And it's very pure CO2, 99.97 pure CO2. Capture operations started in 2011. Injection operations started a little later. We had to, Denbury and the project team had to permit the Class 5 UIC well for the CO2, and that took a little longer than we thought, so we had a little lag time. And to date, we've captured about 200,000 tons of CO2 and injected about 100,000 tons of CO2. And so, again, you can see the relative size of this. It's pretty big. So if this was more of a commercial size plant, it would be about twice that size on the footprint, but much taller, to accommodate the larger flow of CO2. So a lot of people overlook, they look at the operations and they look at the technology, but building something like this is a huge undertaking in doing the construction. I love to show construction photos because I just think it's amazing. We actually built this off-site in modular and barged it to the site, offloaded the modular pieces on Goldhoffers, and then just put them into place. And there's over 100 miles of pipes in this capture system, and all the pipes, they get welded together. And so the starting from scratch, designing, constructing, operating, integrating the operations with a pipeline, the compression and injection is really the effect that we want to feel and what we want to understand. So that way we can really understand how to reduce the costs and do things with this. Let me point out one other thing. So the biggest costs of this, obviously, are capital costs. You got operation and maintenance costs, and then you've got what is called the parasitic load. So carbon capture with solvents really tries to defy the laws of thermodynamics in that you're heating things up and cooling it down and heating it up and cooling it down, and that takes energy to do that. So about 10 years ago, when we first started looking at this, we were thinking that our parasitic load of what power the plant, the host unit, is actually generating would be needed for this would be upward around 30 or 40, up to 50% of the power that the capture plant would generate, the power that the power plant would generate to operate these systems. But now, through doing pilot testing like this, we've got it down to less than 20%, which is really good. So, and with more improvements to this, we think we can get it down even lower. The levelized cost of electricity on a unit like this, we're finding right now, for this unit, it's pretty high. It's up around 40%. So if we were selling electricity from carbon capture on this, your power bill would be 40% more. But if we did this on a commercial scale or a larger scale, with all the improvements that we've understood, it might be between 20 and 30%. So these numbers that I'm throwing out are getting down to something that's realistic for post-combustion capture with being competitive in the market for generating power. So again, construction on the left in 2010, 2013. So this is over in the oil field. So this is, again, we're not injecting this into oil-bearing rocks. We're injecting it into saline formations above. And this is, and again, the important thing here is what happens to the injection operations if the power plant or the capture plant goes into a forced outage, or when we have a planned outage, how do we communicate that? What do we do with the CO2 that's in the lines? And having a partner like Denbury who deals with CO2 all the time has really helped us understand, this integration issue. Again, if we were just putting it into a big pipeline, it'd be one thing, but this is a single source, single sink sort of project, and I think that's very, very good for us to understand. The other project that we're working on is the National Carbon Capture Center. So this is a test facility in Alabama, Wilsonville, Alabama, that's funded by the Department of Energy and also some other private partners you can see at the bottom, which tests carbon capture technologies. It's pilot and laboratory testing. So say, where's Lloyd? If Lloyd had an idea to take moose hair and stick it in a milk carton and tie the milk cartons together with duct tape, and he thinks that will capture carbon dioxide from a coal plant, bring it on over to Alabama, we'll test it for you, okay, and see if it really works. Personally, I think antelope hair would work a lot better, but, so this is a facility for people to come to, bring their crazy ideas and test it there. We'll help support the finance, the Department of Energy, and then the ones that prove out, then they will be the ones that go to the next stage of a larger demonstration and move on from there. And at this facility, we have a coal-fired power plant where we're providing flue gas that's already been scrubbed that you can test technologies on, as well as a gasifier. and you can test technologies on synfuel as well. So it's, it's a really diverse facility, and it's the beginnings of a lot of good technologies that are coming down the pike. I mean, we have technologies out there now that are working well, but we're always looking for that next best silver bullet that might be coming down the pike. So this is a great facility. Okay, the last project is going to be the Kemper County. So this is the plant that we're building. It's a gasification technology that actually was developed when the National Carbon Capture Center was a gasification test facility that the Department of Energy sponsored. So this is a real success story where you have this test center that developed the technology that we are now deploying on a commercial scale. So this project, there's 2 transport gasifiers, there's a steam turbine, and it's 582 megawatt clean coal plant. And it's 524 megawatt of syngas. So what that means is that we can actually use some natural gas in the heat recovery steam generator and use it for peaking power. So we can run it on syngas at 524 megawatts, but if we want to use some natural gas included in there, we can get it up to 582. Very inefficient, so you look at that number, 28% inefficiency. Well, a lot of that has to do with the fuel source, and we're using mine-mouth lignite. The lignite is about 40% moisture, so there's a lot of parasitic load that goes into drying that lignite and handling that lignite, but the lignite source is right there, okay? We built this plant right on top of the lignite line, and that's one of the reasons why this plant is economical to build and operate, is because we've got a mine-mouth fuel source there. If we didn't have that mine-mouth fuel source and we, for instance, had to bring Powder River Basin coal all the way from Wyoming, that would play into the economics of this plant. The other issue is that we're selling the CO2 for enhanced oil recovery again to Denbury, and that income helps offset the costs of the carbon capture here. 65% carbon capture, so that's equivalent to the CO2 emissions of natural gas. So that's kind of the keystone there. That's what's in the new source performance standard. So this plant would actually qualify for that standard that's being developed there. And the plant will burn 15,000 tons per day of lignite, and there's about a 5 billion ton reserve base in Mississippi, so we're not even close. There's a huge reserve base of lignite in the state of Mississippi, and you can see that lignite belt that runs through there. The other success of this plant, again, like I said, is the 3 million tons of CO2 that will come off that is going to be sold for an income. We have a sulfuric acid plant, and we'll be selling the sulfuric acid, and then we're going to be developing anhydrous ammonia, which we actually will use for emissions controls technologies at our other power plants. So we're selling that internally to ourselves. But one of the reasons why this plant is so hard to design, and some of the costs associated with this plant dwell in the fact that you're dealing with a wide range of moisture in the ash. If you were dealing with a coal that had a constant moisture content, you would be able to limit the design criteria for this plant. It would be a lot easier to develop this plant or design it and construct it. The same way with the sulfur, so you have to design for a wide range of sulfur content in this lignite. Infrastructure, we've got 70 miles of transmission upgrades, 60 miles of CO2 pipeline for EOR, 5 miles of natural gas pipeline. So again, this is for startup. So this plant will start up on natural gas, and then if we want to peak it out, we can burn some natural gas in the heat recovery steam generator. Got the mine site, and then this plant is zero liquid discharge. So we're getting the water from this plant. It's gray water from the city of Meridian, and we've got some ponds that we store the water in. And so this from the water balance standpoint, this plant is very environmentally conscientious. So again, I'm going to go through a few construction photos. I love the construction process, but here, so this is back in the fall of 2011, fall of 2012, September of 2013, and this is probably a few months ago. I don't know the exact date, but this is a few months ago. So the lignite mine is back here. There's about 200,000 tons of coal already piled up there that's just, we're kind of setting the stage for where everything's going to be. There'll be a conveyor belt that'll run through here in trucking that'll bring the lignite, then there'll be a conveyor belt. The lignite will go into this storage bin. Now that's not an active drying storage bin. What that's doing is keeping the near-term lignite that would be going into the gasifier dry in case we have a rain event or something like that. There's a lot of cost and parasitic load in drying this lignite and managing the lignite, which you wouldn't have if you were dealing a sub-bituminous or bituminous coal. So then the lignite will go on a conveyor belt in here, and then there's a coal drying facility right in here. It's a fluidized bed, a proprietary design which has been developed just for this technology. You got the two gasifiers that are right here. Synfuel cleanup is right in here, H2S and CO2. And then you got the power blocks, which are right here. And then up here in this is balance of plant, where you have the anhydrous ammonia plant, you have a nitrogen plant there, and you've got a sulfuric acid plant there. And those are some of the offtake products. And then, of course, substation here, and these are cooling towers here. But a lot of construction activities. This county, Kemper County, was one of the poorest counties in all of Mississippi before this project came to it. Now it's doing pretty good economically because of all the jobs and all the infrastructure and the jobs of the people who will be working at this plant, the mining jobs that will be preserved or generated, actually. All the just everything that's going on around this plant, plus the CO2 that's going to the oil companies, and the development of more oil, and everything here built up to where, when we went to the Public Service Commission with this, this project competes with natural gas combined cycle units right here because of these factors related to the sale of the CO2, the sale of the byproducts, the mine-mouth fuel source. Everything is working out well in that. Just to give you an idea, this is the H2S absorber, 680 metric tons. I've been told, I don't know if this was the fact, but I've been told this is one of the largest things that's ever been transported in the state of Mississippi. I mean, we had to pay to reinforce bridges. We had to stop traffic on interstates. I mean, it was a big deal. It was, like Mardi Gras was going on. Here's the H2S absorber towers here that are in place. These are the CO2 syngas capture units. Now, this is for 65% capture. If we wanted to go higher, we would add another one of those towers or make those bigger. It's just that the cost breakout was 65%. We wanted to meet the emissions rate of natural gas, and it worked out there. So this is the gasifier. It's a non-slagging, air-blown gasifier. This gasifier is one of many gasifiers that are available on the market right now, but it is the license is held by KBR and Southern Company Generation on this gasifier. Again, just kind of another picture of the plant. So we've had the honor of having the Department of Energy down there, and lots of people come to visit the plant, and we're very proud of that. And we really believe that this type of technology is the type of technology that's going to be needed in the future to continue to monetize coal in the United States in a carbon-constrained world. Also providing, the CO2 for enhanced oil recovery. We're very big on CO2 EOR as opposed to saline reservoir sequestration. The costs involved here, you really need to have, that income from the CO2 to help justify the costs of these plants. And I'll assure you, I don't think of everyone in the audience as white, naked, marshmallow people. These are all snowmen to commemorate the snow that we had last night. But